Are you in your zone of excellence? Join us in this interview with Dr. Justin Wubben as we discuss the difference between success and fulfillment. Is your health thriving, or is it merely surviving? Welcome to Thriving with Chiropractic, where we unpack conditions and lifestyle challenges in order for you to be the best version of health you can possibly be. I'm your host, Dr. Mosier, and my beautiful co-host is my wife, Ellen. Join us on this journey to thrive. Hey folks, Dr. Mosier here, and I am so glad you are joining us. This is going to be a phenomenal episode. You've met Dr. Justin Wubben before on a previous episode, and I'm so glad he's back with us. But today, we're going to have quite an interesting conversation, something that both Dr. Wubben and I are extremely passionate about: success or fulfillment. Which do you want? Dr. Wubben, it is so good to have you on the show. Let's just dive in. What are your thoughts when you think about the word fulfillment?
It's really fun because, especially when you try to pull the differentiation between success and fulfillment, there's this like negative connotation with the word success, because some people, they put a term of success what other people put as term of success. And I think the tough part is right away we think of, how it's advertised as money and it's other things. And obviously financially, you got to do well to provide for your family. But I think the biggest thing is success is like doing the thing God called you to do. And so like success for you or for me might be to have a successful practice. Well, what is a practice? Is a practice where it's failing financially and can't support itself and you got to fire the staff and close the doors? Well, that's not successful. Is it treating a bunch of patients and they're not getting results? Well, that's not successful. Is it having staff that's burnt out and hate coming to work? Well, that's not successful. And so it's an interesting thing. What is success and what isn't success is really defining what the word success actually means. And there's a lot of, oh my goodness, definitions of success. And, definition from different mentors, success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea, or success is just being in your zone of excellence. And I was really trying to define what the word success means. And in mine, what I've come to most recently is success is just a story in your mind. It's a thing that you're chasing and pursuing to try to be in your zone of excellence. And the neat thing about it is when you're actually in your zone of excellence, that's when you move from success, the thing you're chasing, to that true fulfillment. And what I mean by that is I think we've all set a goal or tried to achieve a thing, and then we got to a level of arriving to that, and we find out that it doesn't fulfill us. Now, was that success? Well, the difference is what did you learn on your journey? And that's why it's a progressive realization. Because I tell you what, there's some things when I'm chasing and maybe financially I didn't do well, or I made a bad decision. And the question I had to ask myself is, what did I learn? Instead of how did I fail? And so if I can take that experience, what I was trying to achieve, did I learn something along the way? That is what success is. It's the journey, it's the growth, it's where you're heading. And the fun is once you get to a high level of a lot of either entrepreneurs or I don't care, whatever it is, everyone has a different definition of success, but what they've typically found is it is the journey and the people you'll meet along the way, the life experiences, it's the life lessons, but ultimately it's the relationships you build along the way. And once you step back and find the things that worked or didn't work, can you truly be fulfilled in that journey? It's when you're in God's zone of excellence for your calling, and we're all called to do something different. And the biggest differentiation is like if there is a person who is called uniquely to be a stay-at-home mom, and that is God's calling on his or her or mom or dad, his or her life, and she actually that uncomfortable steps, that to that person is success. If someone's career path is to do financially well, to provide a job for staff, which provides an outcome for either the patients, the clients, or whoever they're serving, it's different. And that's why we're all called with our unique skills, talents, and abilities. And so that's the fun part, is the journey of fulfillment isn't necessarily even arriving. It's what did you learn on your journey? And the neat thing is, because once you get to that journey, if that's your end point, I will just tell you, you will be sadly mistaken that this is not the end point. It's just the steps. You know, you're going to get to a point, either you don't get the thing or get the thing, whatever the result is. And the true fulfillment is stepping into God's calling and linking with the results or the outcomes you're trying to achieve, and being really consciously aware of the relationships you gain along the way and who you're there to serve and what did you learn. I don't know. To me, that's kind of the difference in the differentiation of success or fulfillment, is really you match the outcome of what you're trying to achieve with that thing inside you. And you know what it is. Most of us, we know what it is, but we're too scared to actually go for it. But the people who usually talk about it are the people with microphones or books or whatnot. But the people who are reading it, sometimes they don't have that platform, and maybe they have a skewed notion of what success is. So my definition of success, even if we're both chiropractors or entrepreneurs, it's not the same as everyone else. It's defining that crystal clear. What did God put you on this earth for, and pursuing that.
Nice. And sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to pursue that God-given purpose, that God-given desire, that thing that fulfills us, that zone of excellence, as you put it. I just had a patient tell me how her husband is, 35 and gonna totally change careers. And I was like, oh, wow. And for both you and I being chiropractors, we are deeply fulfilled in serving our patients and treating our patients. So obviously this is a show of general public, right? Not chiropractors. So what would you say to the audience who may be seeking their zone? What are some steps to find that purpose that God has put them on this earth for?
Yeah, and that's the best thing, is because we all have that different calling. So here's the best way to say it is, I can't tell you what it is that God is calling you to do. I think too often you have gurus or mentors saying, you need to do this. Well, here's the question is are you trying to achieve the same thing as that mentor? Then you should probably listen to them if they're, achieving the thing you want to do. But I would figure out, are you fulfilled? If you're a welder and you love welding and you've been given a skill of welding, and I haven't. I grew up on a farm. Just because we have a welder doesn't mean I'm a welder, right? But if you find that your skill fulfills you, and you can help either, if you're the entrepreneur, you can cast a vision, do the marketing, or do whatever it is. But if maybe you're wired as the employee or the person with the skill set, you have the skill set and it matches your fulfillment, and you go home at the end of the day knowing that you put in a hard day's work, and you feel good about that. And is it perfect? Heck no. Is it always like, oh, there's nothing ever will go wrong? No. Ask any, again, if there's a woman out there who's transitioned to staying at home with her children, and you think, oh, it's just a stay-at-home mom. Heck no. You realizing you are mentoring future leaders, or you're helping them overcome skills, but you'll never, in hindsight, you'll never give that up. You have no regrets if you're called to be a stay-at-home mom. Because I know women who are like, heck no. I have an employee. She's like, I did a daycare. I'm good. I've checked that box. I'm not called to be the stay-at-home mom. So for her, success is a different game versus that person that goes, you know what? I just know, and it's weird and it's maybe difficult, maybe, or challenging. But I think that's a fun part of the journey, at least for me. Sometimes is the drive of overcoming that fear of doing it. But the biggest thing is really surrounding yourself with other individuals who have done that, are going through that, or are about to go through that, because then that's when relationships come together. Because you don't have it all figured out, and I don't have it all figured out, and Dr. Mosier, you don't have it all figured out, or whoever our listeners are. We don't, none of us. And the higher up I've gotten to different levels is they go, here's the deal. We all don't have it figured out. It's actually about community and finding other individuals, because we find that we're like on this flippin' island and we're not. Because socially, when you're authentic and you reach out and you ask your neighbor, your friend or coworker or whatever, and you're able to be authentic, real, and just love them where they are and realize you don't have it figured out, neither do they, and stop holding yourself to perfection, which a lot of people have a challenge with that, then you'll be able to take those steps if that's your calling. But me, I'm not going to tell someone I'm not going to mentor someone in something I've never done before, because that's the other thing is choose who you listen to, who's actually done it and knows how to do it. And I think those are the principles I'm trying to everybody across the board, but it's scary. It's challenging. It's not easy, but there's something you need to do that you're currently not doing. And I don't care what category of life it is. If it's your occupation, your career, your health, your finances, anything, if it's in chaos, the other side is that means it's in contradiction of what you feel called to do typically. And so you just reverse engineers, like, what do I need to do that I'm currently not doing? And most of the time, people know, but they're too afraid to take the steps. But that's the importance of surrounding yourself with individuals who are like-minded or have already went that way, because they can hold your hand and say, it's okay, I've been there. And that's the fun part of just being authentic and being vulnerable. And that's tough for people, especially if they've had either emotional traumas or trust issues in the past. So that's why it's not the easy thing, but the hardest thing is, who do you listen to?
Mosier Family Chiropractic provides comprehensive care and massage therapy for the entire family. From migraines and sports-related injuries to prenatal and elderly massage, Mosier offers the best in recuperative and preventative care. Call today or visit us online.
Absolutely. It is definitely a process. I like that you mentioned community, because our society, our world, I know you're up in South Dakota, we're in Indiana here, but across the US or even the world, anxiety and depression is on the rise. And isolation adds to that. But we spoke on the phone probably a couple months ago, and we talk about time and money. That's always the big concern. But you mentioned something. You mentioned energy. If you're not pursuing that zone of excellence, you have a massive energy drain, and you'll find yourself tired at the end of the day. I want to hear more of your thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, this is a really big epiphany. As a chiropractor, here's the thing they don't teach us in chiropractic school is, they teach us clinical, how to help a patient, and then they slap you on your backside and go. Like, okay, when you come out with $250,000 of student loans and no freaking clue how to run a business, and people expect you to be able to communicate that and market it and save it and whatever, and they want it for free. Well, I mean, that just doesn't happen. So you have to learn different skills along the way. And so naturally, I don't care what you are, you leave college, you leave high school, or in whatever career it is, you step into a skill set. But the tough part is, if you're trying to survive, you're trying to do everything. And that's usually how we all start off. But what typically happens is we're not in our zone of excellence. So I'm just going to speak to the chiropractors out there and, take it for what it's worth. But like, for chiropractors, what did I do? I started off, and I just knew, my dad was a farmer, and, you think about if you're going to get into farming, $250,000 of student loans, that doesn't pay for a tractor or land, or, you aren't even getting started. So, I realized there is an investment in yourself that you have to do. But I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I tried the best I could, but I found out that just because I was skilled or I learned a skill, didn't mean I was the best at it. And so that's when I hired my first staff. And you might think, well, I can't afford them. Well, when my skill set is not the behind the scenes clerical work, but I have someone who can do that and they're good at it, well, I've now given someone else their zone of excellence, and I can, I can love with them, appreciate them, and then the patients better, and it allows me to now focus on the chiropractic adjustments opposed to answering the phone and running around doing those things. And they go, Doc, you just don't feel like you're with me. And so when you hire the right staff who are good at it, then you can step in your zone of excellence and be the good, let's say, chiropractor, or I don't care, whatever it is. But there's still a point where you want to help people, or you find those bottlenecks and plateaus where I found out that I was not, fast forward about 10 years, I was grinding, pushing hard, doing everything, but that was the biggest thing I found is everyone wanted more of my time. And then here's what I find in not every profession, but about anybody who starts a business is their family suffers. Because we say it goes God, family, chiropractic, and the spiel. You've been around. Oh yeah, but are your actions congruent with what you say? Typically, it's I'm going to serve my patient, and maybe have something left over at home, even though they get the full version of you at the office. Well, if I reverse engineered that, yeah, patients loved me, but I was doing everything so hard that I had to eventually say, no, there's a tipping point where I had to let go and find out that my zone of excellence wasn't even only patient care. It was more of again, mine is kind of like the business mindset a little bit more on how do I make sure that people get the best experience? And then I hired a chiropractor who's awesome. And her whole goal, she doesn't have to worry about marketing. She doesn't have to worry about anything. She literally just focuses solely on taking care of the patients. And pride and ego would tell me that I got everything. And that's that solopreneur type thing. And again, it's a good ego pump when people pat you on the head and say, good job, doc, you changed my life. And that's good. It's fun. But there's still that point where now, if we're in our zone of excellence, I have a phenomenal associate doc. And honestly, I edify her that she's honestly, I looked for her. She's way smarter than me. She's way better than me. And I'm okay with that, because ego would tell me that I'm everything. And there's a point when, you go through that mental battle a little bit of, well, I'm not good enough. Well, I need to overcompensate and show the world how awesome I am. But once I figured, oh, that's why it was so easy for some other people to do that, because if I'm trying to connect with the patient, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the business hat, and I'm thinking about the staff, and I'm trying to think of this, and I'm trying to go like this, and then, I got my family and this and this and this and this. I'm thinking about 1,000 things. Do you think I'm present with that patient fully? No way. But if I hire the right people, and there are systems on ways to find out who is more entrepreneur brain driven, saying, I want to change it, and find a lot of ways and make sure we legally and ethically and kindly, promote the message, just because patients, have been like, dude, how come no one's ever told me this before? Well, if I put that on my current doc right now who's serving patients, she goes, I don't want to learn business and marketing, and especially in chiropractic school, they didn't teach us that stuff. It's I just want to take care of the patient. And so we have people now, and then I also have staff, because with my mind going 5,000 ways, answering and putting out big fires and solving issues or helping people or whatnot, I need a middle person in there who can take my crazy brain that's running a million ways, that can crystal clear communication to the staff on expectations. Because when a patient comes in, they expect medical systems. They don't expect chaos. They don't expect those things. They expect things to do well. Well, as chiropractors, when we first start off, we're creating everything from scratch. It feels like, or here's something I learned from here and here and here and here and here. But until we figure out that we're our true zone of excellence is, hey, my job is to kind of cast the vision, learn the thing, know the stuff about it. Hire a person who can be in the middle to say, hey, here's what we need to do. And it'll take me 1,000,000 words to get there. She can do it in 4. And the doc who's like, just tell me what to do so I can serve patients. That's what I found was the cleanest system. So you just kind of figure out where your wiring is. What do you more naturally fall to? If you're a person that goes, just tell me what to do, you're an awesome caregiver. I'm speaking to chiropractic, but it doesn't matter what business it is. But maybe you're a person who's really organized that says, I can take that and do boom, boom. You're maybe an integrator, a person that takes that person with a big vision and then is the relay person and relays it. Or you maybe are wired like a visionary who has a lot of great ideas, grand things. And once we realize that we all step in our zone of excellence, it doesn't matter what the profession is. Just kind of figure out how you're naturally wired. And because we can all do it. But the question is it that thing that truly fulfills you? And there is going to be a season of grind. I know it takes hard work and you got to learn things you don't know, but it doesn't matter whatever it is. It's just because I think the challenge runs into is, do you have a leader who is really motivated by love and they're utilizing your skills, or are they using you? And believe me, those leaders are out there too. So I'm going to speak to the leaders right now. Are you utilizing your team, or are you using people? Because they'll feel it. And you have to, once you get to a certain level, because if you feel used, which a lot of people do, that's why especially chiropractors, they go out and launch their own thing because they were taken advantage of. They were beat up, and they go out and they try to market. That's why the chiropractic message is upside down, is because these people who are not wired to that weren't truly taken care of. And here's on the outside going, you guys are crazy.
Yes.
Because if someone is not wired to give crystal clear communication on here's what we do, how we do it. And by the way, we all do it different, kind of like the medical model. There's oncologists, there's gastroenterologists, there's primary. Chiropractic is kind of the same thing. That's why it's so different. You'll never find two the same, because the challenge is we're all helping in our unique way. And maybe we have a passion towards migraines. Maybe we have I know with Ellen, that was one of your biggest passions, helping her with migraines. But maybe it is sciatica. Maybe it is I don't know. That's the tough part, is because you can never tell someone what to do. But if they're trying their best to help everyone, it just turns into kind of chaos at that point in time. So it is. I don't have the answer for everybody, but it's just kind of, you take that self-assessment, because if you are in your true zone of excellence, you can do a great job, be fulfilled in your work environment, and go home at the end of the day still tired because you put in a day, which is good, but you still have leftovers for your family and the people who are, they're going to be the people who go to your funeral anyways. And that's who I want to spend my time and my energy towards, because, I can help a lot of people, but man, who's coming to my funeral? That's important to me, to make sure that I dedicate my energy to pour into them so they can serve more patients, so my kids can be better leaders, know Jesus. All those different things. My wife, for my marriage, and sometimes our physical health suffers because when we're taking care of so many other people that are priority, we don't become a priority. So there's so many wheels, and it seems overwhelming, but it's just like that. What's that little small step I need to do today? Or what do I need to say no to right now so I can take one step closer to that calling? And it's big for each of us, and it's different for each of us.
That is absolutely powerful. What do we need to say no to right now? I'm gonna think on that one. But folks, I am so glad you joined us today. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Thriving with Chiropractic. Thank you for joining. We truly hope Thriving with Chiropractic is making a positive impact on your health and wellness. Please comment and share this episode. We would love to hear from you. And as always, remember, your story